Well, hey guys, it's Dr. Drake 63 here again today. Thanks for joining me. And whether you're planning on hunting this year with something like this 1926 Model 8 from Remington, or something like this newer Remington Model 783, it's important to practice how you're going to shoot that firearm prior to going hunting. And what I mean by that is, when I go to the range, I see a lot of guys that the only shooting that they're practicing is sandbag type supported shooting.
Don't get me wrong, if you're zeroing a new optic, you want a stable platform, or if you're competition target shooting. Also, good idea to have bench rest type stuff.
So they've got sandbags on the front, sandbags on the back, and all they're really doing is trying to get the most accurate shot they can with their rifle and say, well, it's sighted in. Well, when you're sighting in a new optic, that's important to have your rifle as stable as possible. So I understand the use of a sled or a lot of sandbags or something like that. But beyond that, what's really important is that you practice shooting that firearm the way you're going to shoot it when you hunt. And for most of that means shooting in an unsupported type of position, not using sandbags, practice standing freehand, seated freehand like you might in a tree stand. But by all means, you need to practice the way you're going to hunt. And a lot of guys don't do that and wonder why they zero their rifle in, or think they have, and then turn around and end up with a situation where they're not able to hit the game they're shooting, or instead of getting a nice vital shot, they shoot the deer in the hindquarters or something and it runs away. So we're going to talk a little bit today about practice.
Before I ever went deer hunting for the first time, I practiced by doing a lot of bench rest shooting and found that I was completely ill prepared for the standing freehand shot that I was taking in a sight and stalk situation in Montana. I vowed that wasn't going to happen to me again and decided that I was going to practice almost exclusively freehand, either standing or leaning up against an object. Even if I was going to be sitting in a bench type situation at a rifle range, I would still not use sandbags and use my arms to support the rifle. What I have found is that that is the best way to prepare yourself for all the different situations that can arise when taking that shot when you are hunting. So for that reason, whether I happen to be shooting hunting rounds, whether I'm shooting something like this AKM, I'm working on my trigger control. I'm working on stabilizing the rifle, all things that lead to one result, which is the ability to get the deer, the big bucks, when you want to. And for that reason, I am addicted to freehand shooting. It just makes you better. Another thing I like to do is start out with a cold, long shot, because that's really realistic when you think about hunting. So today, with my Remington 783 and 270, my first three shots were seated freehand at 200 meters, which is 218 yards, so not exactly a short shot for most of us. And I took these three shots and can't say it was a horrible start for the day. Now, I did notice they were a little bit to the right, and I made a couple click adjustments and came back. But as you can see, we're talking about something that is sub 2-inch group, and if you calculate that in terms of MOA, it's under an MOA, closer to a half. Here I am also likewise in shooting the Remington Model 8 35 Remington. I'm happy with these freehand results. Now, every one of these shots, I did a 4-shot group and a 3-shot group. Every one of them was going to get the deer, no question about it. Yes, it's a little bit to the right, but the kind of results you're going to get every time are going to be results like this, guys, and that's why I do it. Something else that I like to look at, and everybody's different this way, but I get a little picky about this, and that is, if I'm zeroing in my firearm with this ammo, this particular ammo, I want to make sure that not only am I getting the same stuff, which in this case is Remington Core-Lokt 200 grain Core-Lokt SP, great. Same stuff, check. Okay. But one of the differences you're also going to see is that these have different manufacturing lots. And how can you tell what that is? Get this number right here, C06JBI, C12JAI, and also this box, C12JAI. So these two guys were made in the same batch. Now, if they're holding to standard, all three of these should behave exactly the same. You shouldn't see any variance, but I like to use the same ammo that I used to zero in my rifle with or sight it in. I like to use the same stuff. So I'd be apt to stay with these two guys if I sighted in with it versus this. Now, at this distance, 50 yards, does that make a huge amount of difference? Probably not. But when you look at something like this 270 Winchester 130 grain from Fusion, which is something I really like, it's got good characteristics for you guys that like talking about the velocity, muzzle velocity on a AR. Look at this. You still got the same velocity going with 130 grain bullet instead of 55 or 60 or whatever. So hats off to the foot-pounds we're getting there. But anyway, if you look at this particular ammo, it's got a lot manufacturing date on it. And that's different than the lot manufacturing on this other box, which I just bought. Now, again, does it really matter? It may or may not. But I guarantee you, if I zero my rifle from this box of ammo, I'm gonna take this box along on my hunting trip. Maybe that's overthinking the issue. Maybe it's nothing. I like to put the same variables that I can control as much as possible because there's so much that you can't control. Wind, weather, barometric pressure, you name it. Now keep in mind, I'm taking less than 100-yard shots, typically with this 35 Remington. I'm not going to see a big difference in what's going on from lot to lot. So it's probably not as big a deal as a 270 Winchester where I might be taking 300-yard shots. So in my view, there's no such thing as wasted shots as long as you're working on something that's helping you develop skill. And whether it's this 5.56 AR platform or whether I'm using something like this lever action, all of this fun shooting is also going to help me become better where it counts on that one shot for the deer. I hope you enjoyed watching today. This is DR Drake 63 saying take care and remember to support the Second Amendment, guys.